What is a Renault Megane? It seems like a simple question, but there are quite a few possible answers. Over the years, we've had a Megane Coupe, a convertible, a saloon, an estate, and of course, a hatchback. But guess what? Renault isn't done. This is the new Megane E-Tech, and it's an electric crossover-y hatchback thing. Renault doesn't officially call it an SUV, but it rides a bit higher than your average hatchback, and it's slightly shorter in length, so it kind of looks like one.
Which is weird, actually, isn't it? I know. But this is actually probably the best Megane that's ever been. And look, there is a reason why there are so many very lovely hatchbacks that are now becoming electric SUVs, which I'll explain in a bit. But overall, I mean, what do you think? I think it's quite nice. I like the colour. I like the design of the lights. I do have an annoyance because actually on the Renault Zoe, the charge point is here, but it's not here on this. It's here on the side. There you go. Which when you're pulling up to a charge point to fast charge the car, just gets a bit annoying when it's on the side because you've got to angle the car right. Do you know what I mean? But that's my only bugbear.
The Megane E-Tech's underpinnings are promising too. It rides on the same CMF EV platform as the Nissan Ariya, which incidentally is our 2022 car of the year, don't you know? Now the Renault uses a different electric motor though, and you get a 217 brake horsepower unit that powers the front wheels alone. 0 to 62 comes up around 7.5 seconds, and you get 280 miles of range. That's not too shabby, is it?
That's a nice sounding indicator, isn't it? I like that. It's nice. Not quite as good as a Citroen C5X. That's got the best indicator sound, but that's not bad at all. That's up there. Up there. Might even make my top 5. I mean, this car is pretty bloomin' decent behind the wheel. It is very refined. Very refined, and you don't get a lot of wind noise. There's not a lot of road noise. It's a very nice, relaxing car to pootle around town in. That's what it's good for. I mean, the suspension sort of soaks up the lumps and bumps in the road pretty well. I mean, it does get a little bit fidgety when it's at low speeds, but no, feels very well engineered. I mean, steering is very quick. Handling is very nice. Don't get me wrong, this isn't a hot hatch. This is like 1.6 tons. This isn't the kind of car that you are just going to chuck around corners and have a bit of fun getting the back end out, you know. You're not going to do that in this car. This car doesn't want you to do that though, to be fair. It wants you to drive it in a relaxing manner. I mean, I'm not saying this is a slow car. It's got plenty of punch behind it, especially for a family car. You can change the drive modes as well, so you can change it onto, let's go to sport, there you go. Oh, see? And it gives just a little bit more throttle response. But, I mean, as much as that's fun, I don't feel like this car is designed for that. So I'm going to keep it in eco, because that's where I feel like that's its happy place, in eco mode. That's where it's happy. There we go, lovely. That was nice and easy to do, wasn't it? I need to mention the brakes. The brakes are weird. So there's regen braking, which a lot of electric cars have, which is where if you turn it all the way up, then you get one pedal driving. Not completely on this though, because if you turn it all the way up and then lift your foot off, it brings you down to a creep, not a complete stop. But what I do want to mention is when you're changing the strength of the regen braking using the flappy paddles here, when you put it all the way up to the top, it actually depresses the brake itself, which is intentional. Like they did plan on doing that. It just feels a bit weird. I think I'd rather just have a normal brake pedal. Or maybe you just get used to it after a while. It just makes it feels weird then when you put your foot on the brake yourself. Oh man! Come back this way. This is the joy of a single lane. I might be able to get up that way. Oh, watch me go sideways. This is not an off-roader, but we'll give it a bloody good go. It didn't even thank me. That's really annoyed me. Always thank someone. Politeness isn't difficult. I've just physically reversed and moved out of your way so you can get past me, and you didn't even thank me. Great. Right, interior. This is where we are really impressed with the Renault Megane E-Tech. I mean, it feels fresh, it feels modern, it feels miles ahead of the ID3. My, how the tables have turned. Shall we start with the physical climate controls? Yes, please. Lovely. I mean, it's just so much easier to use than having to use a blooming touchscreen all the time. So thank you, Renault, for putting that in like that. And then build quality. I mean, it's lovely. Got nice little materials dotted around all over the place. It's very nice. The steering wheel has a touch of the BMW iX about it, which isn't a bad thing. The infotainment itself, right. We have to talk about this because it's really, really impressive. So it is based on the Android automotive system, which makes total sense because if you think about it, there won't be any other car manufacturer that will be able to make better software than Google. So that's what's going on in here. And it's brilliant. I mean, it's really sharp. It's really responsive. And then when you've got cars like the ID3 that are just really struggling with their software, that's where this matters. It's very good. And also, it's got voice activation where you can say, OK, Google, and ask her to do whatever you want. I'm not talking to you now, though, babe. It's fine. I'm not talking to you now. So, OK.
Okay, so the cabin is quite lovely, but you might be wondering, what is the deal with this body style? Why does the Megane E-Tech look less like a traditional hatchback and more like a crossover?
Right, now, obviously this car is electric, and a lot of electric cars have their battery pack in the floor because it makes sense from a packaging perspective and it makes you have a nice low centre of gravity, good for dynamics and all the things. But when that happens, it raises up the floor. So then when your passengers are sat in the back, it feels like, especially if you're tall, it feels like your knees are at your boobs. So then you have to raise the seat up a little bit higher. But then your head's touching the ceiling, so then the roof gets raised up and then you just end up with an SUV. And that is why so many electric cars are now SUVs. They're just easier to design and a lot of people seem to like them.
The upside is that the Megane is a fairly roomy machine. Cabin space is about the same as a Volkswagen ID3, so there's enough room for 4 adults. Really tall passengers might find things a little bit tight in the back, but the 440-litre boot is quite generous, even if it is quite deep, so it makes it a little bit of a struggle getting things in and out. But really, the Megane's biggest problem is this. The MG4. It's cheaper than the 36 grand Renault, and even though it doesn't quite have the same premium feel, it drives well and has decent range. Ooh, the market is certainly hotting up, isn't it?